Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Justice. I am Suzette Speaks and I want to welcome all of my new subscribers. I'm really excited to see so many people hitting that subscribe button since the last video. I'm going to talk to you today about how to apply to law school. I had a serious topic in mind, but I wanted to change a little bit because I've been asked about this very question so many times. And again, don't be afraid to like, comment, and share. If you know someone who is thinking about applying to law school, wants to apply to law school, is scared of applying to law school, I really want this video to be an encouragement to them. So please, again, share with your communities if you can. So once again, for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Suzette Speaks. I'm a TV host and attorney out of South Florida. And I am gonna touch a topic that I think many people who don't have a lawyer in their family, don't necessarily know someone who has been to law school, will not be able to necessarily have all the information that someone who has a role model or has someone directly who is an attorney that they can talk to and hopefully get the information. So today's topic is for the law school lovers or those who are just thinking about a career in law. And if you have any information that you want to add to the conversation, you know I love when you chime in. So please comment, let me know where you're watching from, and I'm going to just give you some tidbits. So the first thing I will say is anything I say here is not intended to be legal information or legal advice. So please, if you have a specific issue, I always want to say specific. If you have a specific issue of a legal nature, please contact an attorney directly. This broadcast is only intended for informational purposes only, so please be advised that anything I say here, it should not be taken as, legal advice or legal gospel. You do need to see an attorney for your specific situation. All right, so now that the disclaimer is out of the way, again, to my new subs, welcome! And if you aren't one yet, welcome. Please hit that subscribe button, join the community. Again, the concept of this show I'm doing today is called Let's Talk Justice. It's where I talk about legal issues and legal trends that affect everyday people. So if you are into law or politics, the Let's Talk Justice series is something I think you will enjoy. Now, if I don't do legal trends, what I'm usually talking about is women's issues, women's empowerment issues to be specific. So I'm going to be probably starting next month, bringing on ladies who can encourage, enlighten, empower, and challenge women to be their best selves. So you'll see a little bit of that on this channel too. So whichever one you like, please don't be afraid to let me know so I know which direction I should continue to move in. So anyway, as I was saying, today is the day I'm talking about how to get into law school. I can't even tell you how many lawyers I have in my family. We have a lot of attorneys. It started out, I guess, from 2 greats ago, grandpa. I have a great grandfather who was involved in politics, and I wouldn't even say just his example, but many of us have been inspired by. I have a few uncles, I have older cousins, and thankfully certain, what should I say, legacies within my family that have allowed me to even have the concept of, what an attorney is. And I'm going to check the chat. Sorry, I didn't even put up the chat. Check for comments, but y'all don't be bashful. Come on in and please do like, comment, and share. So yeah, I'm grateful to have a family where I guess in my generation, we kind of raised the bar, and a lot of us really wanted to strive for a secondary degree. Now, one thing about law school, it ain't cheap. Another thing about law school, it ain't easy. And another thing about a law school is it has, what should I say, unwritten rules that I didn't really understand or find out until I actually went. And I wanted to put you up on game so that when you come to the crossroads, hopefully, if this is for you, you will already know what are some of the expectations and some of the inside baseball that's going on that you probably don't even understand that's going on, especially as for my household, my parents are high school educated. My mom is a registered nurse and my dad is an electrician. So going on to get that secondary degree was huge for me and my brother. So when I think about going to law school, the first thing I think about is the undergraduate journey, and the parts of the undergraduate journey that impact law school the most are, of course, what classes you take and the GPA that you end up with in undergraduate. So for my friends who are thinking about applying and you've graduated a long time ago, there's other things that also are involved in the equation to get to law school. That would more so be your life experience and your work experience. So if you graduated, I would say more than 10 plus years, you still have hope because law schools like to diversify their body. They like to student body. They like to make sure there are people from all ages, all backgrounds, all walks of life in their law school class. So if you have not been a student in a while, do not worry. What happens is once you are hopefully in undergrad, if you're younger, or while you're working, if you're a more non-traditional student, more mature student, you're going to take an exam first and foremost. Let me back up. You're going to study for an exam first and foremost, because one thing someone DM'd me on Facebook and asked me this. They were like, hey, I'm getting ready to take the LSAT. Ooh, law school admissions test. Remember that? And when I responded, or she had told me that she had bombed it the first time, she's going to try it again. And something in my spirit just led me to say, hey, the law school admissions test is not something that you need to be taking cold. Any type of graduate exam for any type of second degree, you must prepare and you must take classes for those. Those are not, because I'm smart, I'm going to take this test and I'm going to pass. What you will realize is most admissions tests, including backup from high school, the ACT and the SAT, are written in a way that you can learn the answers that the test writers think are the best answers. Well, I'll say it again. Not testing of how smart you are, not testing if you actually know a lot of different things. But one of the key elements of how to take an exam is to learn the pattern of what the test writer believes is the right answer. So if that can be taught, well, obviously, you need to take a class or a prep class that will allow you to best prepare as much as you can before you sit for any of these exams. And I want to remind you, those are also not cheap. So when you're preparing, put aside some loan money, put aside some, hard-earned dollars from your side jobs, put aside, if you're a working adult, put aside some money to get ready to spend on admissions, tests, on applications cost money, as well as, of course, the prep courses, that you will have to take. Because I don't know of anybody who's really studied for the LSAT. I'm sure it's possible, but I don't really know myself anybody who didn't study for the LSAT and take a prep course, who just bought a couple books and tried. So when you are picking a prep course, and I'm not going to do any free advertising for any of these companies, you can look them up. I think there's Princeton Review, there's going to be Kaplan. And again, I said I wasn't going to do free advertising, but I'm just mentioning a couple so you can Google that. And I'm sure there are probably new ones since my time. But you want to make sure you are trying to find an affordable class. And guess what? Some of these test prep companies, they offer scholarships. So that's another bonus that you can check them out, and don't be afraid. I think especially the one I took was Kaplan. I should have, because my friend got hers for free. Every month they had, at the time, certain amount of prep class seats that they offered at a discount, maybe $300 off, maybe $500 off, and then one was free. So you're talking about a few $100s here, folks. So the prep class is definitely a very helpful option. And if you can't afford it, say you're in a situation where you're like, no, I cannot spend any money right now, the least you can spend is possibly to get a book or two from your local bookstore, or order it on Amazon, and get a how to take the LSAT prep book. I also think there might be like CD classes that people also charge for that might be very helpful for you. So the first step is to understand that you must A, have a decent GPA, or B, have some very interesting work experience, and have some money saved up so that you will have enough money to go forward in your pursuit of getting into a good law school. So once you have the GPA, say you're a little bit younger, and if you're a non-traditional student, once you have enough coins saved up for your prep class, the other part of it is now filling out the application. So once you have taken the LSAT, once you have taken a prep course for the LSAT, then taken the LSAT, you are going to get a score. And hopefully your score is decent. I think the highest score on the LSAT is a 180. For your average school, you want to be right around, I want to say average, because there's a school for everybody. There are tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 law schools. So top tier, obviously, top 50, then the next 51 to 100, and then the ones after that, right? So it depends on where you think you can A, afford to go, and B, your desire to go. So whether you're going to go to a tier 1 or tier 2 or tier 3, it has to be like your first determination. And I say apply to a mixture. I think I applied to 10 law schools. Some people applied to like 2 or 3 because they know if they're a non-traditional student, they're not moving their families, they're not going anywhere. They're going to stay in their hometown or wherever the law school is that they want to go. Some people do pick up and move. For example, in Florida, we have several law schools in South Florida. We have one in Orlando. I think we have one now in Southwest Florida. We have one in Jacksonville, etc. So if you don't live close to any of these law schools where you want to attend and you don't plan to commute, you may have to move. So you have to have a goal in mind in terms of where you think you might end up or where you think you might want to go. Once you decide that, once you've taken your prep course, then taken your LSAT, your score will help you decide where you're going to go, because oftentimes the score you get determines whether you're going to qualify for a tier 1, a tier 2, or a tier 3 law school, right? So you have public schools and you have private schools, and the costs are work accordingly. The costs will vary. Private schools can be highly expensive. We're talking about, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year. And that may include only tuition, not including where you're going to stay, where you're going to live. And then you may also have, sorry, I'm going to put that the other way. You may also have all kind of incidental fees when it comes to law school. I can tell you at my time at my law school, it was a very, very, I had enough money saved. I had a fair amount of scholarships, and most of graduate schools are paid via loans. That's the key. Most people think, oh, I'm going to get scholarships. No. They're not going to give everyone scholarships. It's a time where you are going to pay out of pocket. So whether it's for you or whether it's for your children, you have to really start thinking about saving up money or getting some kind of college investment plan going. Or we in Florida, we have programs called Florida Prepaid, where you can save up money every month. The state of Florida will help you to save money and invest it for you. And then we also have within Florida, we have the merit scholarships and other scholarships that people can get. And I think Texas has if you're in the top 10% of your class in Texas at the high school level, you automatically get a seat in college, et cetera, et cetera. So depending on where you live, it's important to know what's available to you. But back to getting into tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 law schools. Your test score is one of the bigger and weighted measures that a law school will look at in terms of your admissibility. What does that mean? When you have taken the LSAT, it is, again, I don't think it's one about how smart you are. It is more about your ability to think, and if you can master what the test maker thinks is correct and how to eliminate wrong answers and get to the right answer. I think that's something that is a skill. It can be taught. It's not something that is innate to us. And sometimes when we think we are smart and we've had bomb GPAs or wherever we went, you go into the LSAT cold and you get reminded, it's a cold world. It's a very cold world. So you want to be careful not to go into LSATs or MCATs, the medical school admissions test, or any of these GRE, GMAT, any of the secondary degree programs. You do not want to take those tests cold, guys. At least buy a book and study. All right, so fast forward, you've taken your test, you get your score, you've prepped for your test, I should say. You've taken your test, you've looked at the list of law schools, you decided, am I going to be a non-traditional student and I'm going to commute to my law school? Am I going to move to that town? What's the cost of living in that town? Am I going to, or am I just coming out of undergrad, and I'm going to pick up and go live on campus? How much are the fees for housing? What am I looking at for food? What am I looking at for insurance and all the other things? You're basically pricing and creating a budget for what it's going to cost you. You really need to think about these things, because towards the end of law school, oh my gosh, that can be another video, but I was running on fumes, y'all. Fumes. Because it can get very dicey. Because after law school, I had to pay for, I think I took out a loan, an additional 15 grand to live off of after I graduated from law school. Private loan, high interest rate, where I had to pay for my bar exam test prep. I'm talking about after you graduate, to be able to practice, you got to pass the bar. And in order to pass the bar, you need to study for the bar. In order to study for the bar, you need money, A, that's going to cover your living expenses, and B, you're going to need another test prep class. So think about it. I'm just putting it out there. That will be probably part 2, but it's important to remember that these costs are coming. So once you get your exam, once you get your exam score from the LSAT, it's going to help you make a lot of decisions. Sometimes we think we got decisions to make, and we all have choices, but it's going to help you determine, which school and what score goes with which school. So oftentimes schools will post a range, law schools will post a range of LSAT scores that they are looking for, or their median LSAT score. Oftentimes they say, the average LSAT score is this. So again, LSAT, the highest you can get is a 180. You have bombed, I think I would call that underneath 140 maybe. You are probably, the minimum you want to try for is a 150. I'm talking about the minimum, but you want to score above the average percentile for the country. And I don't know exactly what that is right now, but think 155, think 160s. Hi, how are you, Terry? Welcome. I see a comment here. Thank you for dropping by. How you doing? Welcome. Today's topic is how to apply for law school and all the different steps that goes into it. I've been asked this question several times on my Facebook page, so I figured I'd give a quick, very quick tutorial in terms of how this law school journey works, because many people, I think, are in the dark about it and are thinking about it. So if you know somebody who is trying to apply for law school, please do like and share this video with them. So once you get your score, as I was saying, it is a very interesting process in terms of now the application. So now I hear they have a program to apply to law school. And again, I see some of y'all watching, go ahead and drop a comment if you want to. And if you like this topic, let me know. But one of the things I've seen or have heard that is advertised now is, and again, the recommendation is to apply to a few law schools. I'm not going to tell you how many exactly. I happen to apply to 10. Some people apply to 5. But just like any big decision, you want to have options, because you don't know if you're going to get into that law school that you want to get into. So you have to apply to I would say, at least your dream school. The one that if you could write home to grandma, I would love, it would be in my dreams to go and attend this law school. You got to have a dream school, I think. You also should have your backup, maybe a couple backups. Schools that accept lower LSAT scores, just in case you don't get the LSAT score you think you were going to get. So, thank you. She said you just tuning in, listening. Hello. Welcome, ladies. So glad to see you're on. Welcome. I'm doing a Let's Talk Justice topic today, talking about what it takes to get into law school and not, keeping, the secrets of the admissions process away from people. I think there's one book I saw out that is written by an African-American woman about the law school admissions process. But that book, when I first got it, was so huge. I was like, ain't nobody gonna read all of this to get through the process of applying to a law school. And I have so much respect for her, the fact that she would take time out and step by step and create a very big and expansive explanation of everything. So this, again, is a general overview. Again, I'm always big on you guys contacting people directly. As you know, I have to put up my little disclaimer here. I'm not intending to give any legal advice here. This is just maybe informational only when it comes to what it might take for you or a loved one to get into law school. So please, if you do have a legal issue, contact an attorney directly. Again, this is only for informational purposes. You must speak to an attorney specifically about any issue that you have that you would like to review. But anyway, all right, so you got your score. Yes. 2 reactions. Either, oh my God, I got to take this again. Or, yes, I'm over this. I have the score I want, or at least the minimum score to get into my, I was going to say dream school, couple safe schools, and then maybe 2 or 3 schools in the middle at minimum. That, again, depending on who you talk to, will be the recommendation. I did 10 schools. I didn't get into my dream. Did I get into my dream? I didn't get into my dream school. I definitely got into my 2 safe schools. And then I got into like, I think maybe like 6 or 7 of the 10, right? So once you get the test, you either going to take it again because you're afraid of not getting into your school because your test score was low. And don't freak out if that happens to you, because many people do not do well on the LSAT the very first time. But keep this in mind. You can take it again. But the law schools will usually, they will tell you on their website, most will take an average of your scores. So if you bomb it, you get that 135, you get that 137, you get that 145, and you're wondering, oh my gosh, how am I going to get, how am I going to recover and get back to where, I can be eligible to get into the school I want? Take it again. But you have to do well that second time because they're going to take an average. So that's when, if you didn't take the prep class or you didn't buy the book and do some practice essays or go back, or actually it's going to be multiple choice and different types of multiple choices. If you didn't do that, this is when you realize, I should have buckled down, and I will buckle down this time and really study. I'm talking about set aside probably 2 months before you take this type of test. Maybe 3, depending on how you study and the time allotment you can give to studying. Don't play. Some people study for 6 months before they take the LSAT. So it's not a game when you're ready to really apply, because that score sticks with you. It doesn't get erased or replaced by the next score. It will be averaged with that score. So you got to be very careful that you do not put yourself in a position where you're going to get an average and still end up with under like a 150. Not happening. So we want to, again, the scores we're looking for, depending on the school you want to get into, good score would be like a 162 or 165. If you get up close to 170, baby, you could write your ticket to almost any school in the country. A 177, 180, a perfect score. Oh my gosh. You already know. You're at Harvard Law. Okay, you're up in the Ivy Leagues, up in the Northeast if you want to be, or you're at the Howards or wherever you want to be. I think I did apply to Howard. I did get into Howard. I did apply to like UM. I did get into UM. Tulane. I think, again, Emory, you have to have a list based on where you want to live. And that's the other thing about applying to law school. You want to practice in the state, or at least in the area, the geographic area you think you might want to live. Now, that is a tall order. Now, if you're more on the non-traditional side and you're grown and you already know what city you want to live in, this is easier, because you know what law school you're going to apply to, because it's going to be within the state of the city that you want to live in. So if you know you want to live in New Orleans, that was a thing. I got into Tulane, but I was like, do I really want to live in Louisiana? Like, I don't think I want to practice law in Louisiana. Usually the law school that you attend, if it is like a state school, say University of Georgia, University of Florida, Florida Gulf Coast, whatever, FAMU has a law school here in Florida, you're usually going to end up practicing in the state or getting a job in the state where you attended law school. Now, are there exceptions? Absolutely. I had friends, even though they went to school with me here in Florida, they took jobs and took bars in other states, California bar, New York bar, Georgia bar, wherever they wanted to live. You will take the bar exam in that state. Can you take bar exams in multiple states? Yes, but that's very difficult to do. And I've only known of a few people to sit multiple bars within that same summer. This is after you graduate, you take the exam to pass what they call the bar exam. The bar exam is what licenses you, okay? And admittance to the bar is done by, and that's a whole nother video. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. There is a bar association, the Florida Bar Association, the Georgia Bar Association, and they are, what should I say, in charge of one of the roles and one of the functions that they have is admitting people to the bar. And one of the very first things of most states, I don't know of any states, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. For most states, is attending A certified, that's another thing. The law school must be accredited. Accreditation is important because that's another thing I've seen hurt people. There was a new law school, or actually, I think this was a law school that existed. I don't want to give them a bad name, so I'm not gonna. It was a Florida law school. If you're in the Florida area, you will know what I'm talking about. But they lost their accreditation. What happens to a school when it loses accreditation? Well, it is not qualifying you to graduate with a degree that is accepted by the Bar Association, the Florida Bar in my case, the Georgia Bar, where the lead attorney is. If you don't go to a accredited law school, you're not going to get admitted. That's the thing. So I remember this lady contacted me. She wanted me to mentor her in a way. And what was happening was her law school was going into like a bad accreditation, like had lost its accreditation. And what happens? Too many students drop out. Too many students don't pass the bar. Things like this, the faculty, the caliber of the faculty, when the bar or the state bar, the New York bar, the California bar looks at law schools and they also have accreditation bodies, they look at passage rate. If you got a law school open and 50% of your people don't pass the bar, what you teaching them? What's going on here, right? Or if you have a certain amount of students that don't even take the bar, or if you have a certain amount of students that don't get a job after they've gone to your law school, people watch that. So that will allow the regulators to say, you guys got to bring up the standard of your program before we will allow people to graduate from your program to become an attorney officially. So you got to watch also. Make sure your law school is accredited and has not had any accreditation issues in the past, because that can come back to 100. I don't even know what happened to that young lady. I think I'm going to go looking to get my email and see if I can find her, because she was getting ready to graduate. And I told her, transfer, get up out of there, get out of that law school. You do not want to be in a law school that's going to lose accreditation. That is one of the most dangerous things, because you spent all this time and all this money, and then you basically it's almost like getting a degree that's useless. And why invest in a place that is closing down, or a place that is not going to allow you your dream, which is to practice law? So looking at the law school accreditations, all right, looking at that law school's admission standards. What do they expect for a GPA? What's the average GPA? What do they expect for an LSAT? What's the average LSAT? And then you're also going to, I think you have to write an essay to get into, or what they call personal statement. That's what it's called. Here in Florida, we call it a personal statement. And it is a statement where you are talking about either, and I can actually do a whole video on personal statements. What did I write about in I can't even remember what I wrote about in my personal statement. So we're just going to leave it like that. I don't want to confuse the issue and get too deep into the weeds, but you have to write a personal statement. So this is a statement about you, why you want to go to law school, but it has to be well written. You got to have somebody proofread this, and it can't be run of the mill, because they're getting, remember, like hundreds and sometimes thousands of applications to these schools. So how to make your personal statement stand out can be a whole different video. And I'm sure there are already a lot of YouTube videos on writing a personal statement for law school. So you have the combo. You have your GPA or work experience. You have your LSAT exam. And then you have your personal statement. Okay. So once you get those ducks in a row, you should apply. Now, an application fee is usually, sometimes they waive it. That's another thing. Call your school. Hey, I can't afford I don't know, I'm making it up, $100, $200 to apply to your law school right now. Can I get it waived? Certain schools will waive it. A lot of people don't know that because they never ask. They also have, I think they have a system right now that you can sign up for. I do not know the name. I can't remember the name, where you do one application on like an e-portal and the same information, because they ask you the same information on I think I did all my last school? No. I think I did this one e-portal, put all my, your parents' information, your information, where you grew up, how many siblings you got, did you work, what was your Lsat score, all the basic information, but it's tedious of an application, goes into these, I can't remember the name of the program, one portal, and it will apply and send out. You upload your transcripts, you upload your Lsat score, all these things, because you have a confirmation of what you got for all these things. You can send through this portal to every law school. I think all major law schools are a part of the portal. So it's not like you're going to individually fill out applications or go online, fill out an application for each school individually. You have one clearinghouse, thankfully. They make money. E-portal, which will allow you, and you can Google this, to upload and apply to many law schools at the same time. So you are not doing the same thing over and over again. There is an application fee. So do keep in mind, the more schools you apply to, the more money you're going to spend. So whether it's $50, whether it's $100, $200, however much it is now, I don't know, you're going to spend some money applying. So you want to do your research. You want to think where you are going to want to live. You are going to pick a law school in that state. Again, you can change your mind, because what allows you to practice in that state is not the law school, but the bar exam. So even if you go to school in Georgia or in, Michigan, you can still, I think they have a great law school up there. Did I apply to up there? I got to think back. But no matter where you go, it's the bar exam you take that allows you, once you go to an accredited law school, to pass. It's not even about GPA. It's about that bar exam. As long as you graduate, hallelujah. For some of us who had a rough first semester or whatever, it's not about the GPA. It's you getting to that finish line, graduating, right? Going through that 3-year process. Oh my gosh, I have some stories about law school. But once you figure it out, get in, then there's a whole nother process that I can give you some insight into, in making sure you are not lost when you get there. You want to make sure you have a study group, not a play study group, not these hangout people study groups. Oh my gosh, you got to get with the smart people in the study group. I had such a good study group. I was so blessed because, and you know what, how I ended up with a good study group? We went to law school orientation, and the lady who was sitting by me had the same, or we were in alphabetical order by last name, and we're still friends to this day. Shout out to Jody. I won't say her last name. Shout out to Jody. But she understood. She had a clear concept of what law school would take, how to do well in it, how to study for it. Oh my gosh, she opened so many doors. I say, if it wasn't for Jody, I would have been so lost, because again, I had nobody in terms of my immediate family that was privy to, especially at this specific university, what was going on. I have cousins that are in different states and even in different countries that practice law. So everybody wasn't on the same, or they hadn't taken the same path to becoming a lawyer, but it was very much a crazy experience. So I think I'm going to stop it there. If you guys have any questions, let me know. But I just wanted to give you guys a quick preview on what it takes to get into law school. Hey, I am rapping, but hey, what's up? Glad to see you guys. Welcome. I would love, if you have any other questions, let me know. I will answer them thereafter, but please just know it is possible to go, even if you bomb your LSAT. It is possible to go, even if your GPA is not the highest. It is possible to go if you don't think you have the money, because again, most law schools do have certain waivers when it comes to the admissions fees. They have some scholarships, not a whole lot, but there are scholarships. There definitely are scholarships depending on your school, and you want to do that research, right? So it's a big decision to make. And let me tell you, those 3 years go by quickly. I actually just had a lady who worked as a paralegal for me at a prior firm where I worked at. And she went part-time. She chose a school, I think it's in Jacksonville, and it was very difficult for her. You have a few programs that allow you, to work and go to law school. Law school is not something that you usually work and go to. Let me just say it like that. People think, oh, I'm just going to work and go to law school on the side. And nah, it's not. It doesn't work like that. Typically, it's very difficult to be a non-traditional student, but there are a few programs. I know here in South Florida, I think Nova has one, Nova Southeastern University. I think Florida Coastal, I might have one. And then wherever you live, there may be one that allows you to work and go to law school. But typically you go full time. But not everybody has that luxury, especially if you're not a traditional student. So you want to look at that as an option. Find a school that has a program specifically that allows you to work during the day and then go to school at night. They're few and far between. They are very few and far between, but you want to make sure if that's the situation that you're looking for, you find that law school that's appropriate. But again, most important is to understand what the LSAT score they want from you is, understanding where that range is, studying for that LSAT. Again, you can control your GPA. If you've graduated a long time ago, you can no longer control your GPA. But your work experience will play a good part if you have been working for a while. I think law schools like that because they like to sprinkle non-traditional students in the mix. They like people with unique backgrounds, right, coming into the law. It is something that is conquerable. It is something that you will hopefully, not be too intimidated by, because people do it all the time. And then we can get into the steps of what to do once you get there. But that's all I got for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please watch it and subscribe and share if you know of anybody thinking about going to law school, what they should do. And they can contact me directly on socials if they want more info. Anyway, thanks for joining, guys. I appreciate. Hit that subscribe button. And I am grateful that those of you who were able to watch, hopefully you learned something. Again, if it was for someone that you might know that is thinking about going to law school, let them know. I might do another video about this if it's interesting to you guys. All right. Awesome. Have a beautiful day. And I hope to see you guys real soon on my next video. Y'all take care. All right. Bye now.